I was thinking about how to determine targets for a season. So, and it's funny, we're heavy on Chelsea today. So, if you're a Chelsea fan, you might love this. Who's looking up and who's looking down? So, season targets, clubs are going into seasons thinking, this is what we have to do as a football club. So, City, for example, obviously the objective is we don't look at anybody. Everybody looks up to us. So, we have to, constantly think about how we can better ourselves. But Liverpool, for example, Liverpool are looking up to City. And that's their targets, that's their standard, who they have to beat to become champions, right? So those two clubs excluded, where is every other club looking? I find that Chelsea, Tuchel put a statement down and he said, look, his focus is to make sure that Arsenal, Man United, Tottenham Hotspur, for example, don't catch up to him don't overtake, because I think they're maybe there's just a little difference. Don't overtake. So I want to start with Chelsea. Chelsea, as said by the manager, the manager said, look, we have to make sure that Tottenham don't overtake us. What does Arsenal do this season? What does United do this season going into this? I'm going to start with you, Swimpe, before Swore.
For Chelsea, I think the target would be trying to get to those two you excluded, actually.
No, that can't be target, because the manager has already said, our target is to make sure that these guys,
the ones behind them, don't catch up.
And I find that it is a mentality shift at Chelsea at the moment. That the manager will go into a season, right? Of course, transfers have not been done as expediently as you would expect, but it's a first that the Chelsea manager goes into a season saying the objective is that Arsenal
to try and win,
and United don't catch up with us. So it's a subconscious thing, but he's effectively setting the agenda for the season. We're not going to try and compete with Liverpool and City, and I think it's a shame that Chelsea don't try and compete, because I'm going to.
I think it is.
Among the bunch that you said, that's Manchester United, Tottenham, and Arsenal. Among those bunch, plus Chelsea, right, excluding the top two, Chelsea is still like the topmost among those bunch. So I feel like Chelsea should be the one giving Liverpool and Man City the pound for pound pressure into that top spot. That's that number one spot. Right. I feel like they should be the one actually knocking on that door. Not them looking at their back saying, these guys, I don't want them to catch up with me. I feel like that's below.
Is that a case of being
below? That's bringing your standard low.
Is that a case of being, because there's a part of being honest. And effectively, if you look at Chelsea's squad, right? You look at United, Tottenham, Arsenal, you have to say that Chelsea are still the best equipped to compete with City and Liverpool, right?
Definitely.
So is that him being too honest?
I think he's just being modest.
Or is that something you don't want to hear from a manager like Tuchel?
I love straight shooters, right? And one thing that over his time from the Bundesliga and even to Chelsea, he's done 3 seasons. This will be his 3rd season, and each season has come with a different kind of flavor. And most times when you look at his presser, he's always a straight shooter. Now they play football manager now. You see the different kind of response that you can give. And most times his response always falls along the I just talk and CB, I don't come on my mind. I feel like it's a miracle that Chelsea even managed to stay up with all their travails from, outside the pitch, with administration, with government, with policies. If you've ever been in a space, even when we say you never pay let's say you did school and you never pay your school fees and they can't track you for exam, or you know how you lose focus. Even if the fact that he managed to keep these players ahead in the game that long, I said, this guy, there's something special about you. It's a champion's mentality. They come. They land somewhere. Now, they come.
That's what it's being paid for.
It's not whether that's what it's being paid for. When you enter, they tell you, this is what we will do. This is what we do. Right. He did not plan to come and do a full culture shift. He didn't plan to come and do a babysitter because our guy is about to be thrown out of the country.
Right.
So, he had to employ. Bros, now wait now. You forget that Chelsea get to go employ people when we say they do international foreign policy and stuff to come they break them down like baby to the player. Say this is what is going on. The reputation of the Spurs. It's not like England hates you. It's just they don't like your
Oga. The problem I have is that
it took a lot.
Hold on. It took a lot. When you wait 70-something days for a Premier League season, and you are told beforehand, not directly but by nuance, that this season, we're not trying to upstage Liverpool or City. I find that to be disturbing, But also, I understand the honesty in it.
Is respecting what is on ground. Is respecting what is on ground.
Because Arsenal cannot say.
Are you telling me the other teams have not been building? They have not been building. This man Arteta has been building since.
So wait,
he still doesn't have as Chelsea.
That analogy that you used, that if you did, you never pay your school fees. Okay, if they don't pay your school fees, but then you can't. You can say, maybe in a public school or a private, I don't know, but whatever you need pay, they don't pay. But the people where they in charge won't change the principal of that school. But they don't pay your school fees. Which business you get? We say they won't change your principal. Wait now. They
won't pursue your back for the school.
You get where they go now. Wait now. If they don't pay your school fees, you don't get it. And then they won't go and change the principal, the headmistress, your class teacher, or the proprietor, your course rep. I don't care. They won't change them. Which business? Well, your exam they come. Which business you get? We say they won't change your principal, and I make you go do your exam the way you want to. Now, having said, and I make you go focus, read, do what you guys do to pass your exam. Having said that,
bros, your girlfriend not answer you later. You don't answer your letter on time. No, you don't answer your letter on time. You don't answer your letter on time. You don't be walk. You don't be think. You met.
No, that will not be allowed on this table.
You know how many?
He's our daddy.
Do you know how many less?
Abramovich was our daddy.
Like literally. My mom will tell you. My dad will tell you. That look, we don't do what we need to do
don't understand.
for you to go.
Exactly. Now.
Go there. May God help you.
Go there.
See, may God help you. You go to that school and come back.
I say,
I something to do what.
Okay, but in all seriousness, though, there's always been the way Chelsea approaches the transfer.
No.
And their build up.
But
he's limited.
Hold on.
He has to
hold on.
Let me hold on.
Glorify is onto something that
I'm telling you
that is cooking.
You understand? So you see that, first of all, the Chelsea, it is natural. Human being, they don't give you the excuse on a platter. So Chelsea players key into them. Say, it's distracting. Say, keep quiet. The change of ownership, they not pay your salary when it's due. They not pay your salary
initially.
No, they pay.
It was like this. They were like
This is not Senator Gome.
No, it was like this.
It's not Barcelona.
They paid them their salaries. Every single one of them. There was no story out of Chelsea that even kicks people and grounds people no get their money. So players can't come, say it was distracted, keep quiet there, go and do your job. The coach, as a matter of fact, the football team, nothing. Why, Shebi, when there was no change of ownership, if they ask the manager or the players any question about what happens next season or what happens even the next game, quick, they go say, no, we're focused directly on this game tomorrow. Then we'll take it one game after the other. Why I don't take out one game after the other? When I knew that
Tuchel, and I like Tuchel for his different approach to interviews. He's a bit upfront. I like that. But when I saw him, feed into that narrative, he said, "See, I'll drive the bus if I have to."
Yes,
Chelsea are not near that level.
They're not near that level.
Like, are you kidding me?
They don't owe your money before.
If
If EFCC don't owe your money before, then you go no say. If you say what you will drive the bus.
He will drive the bus.
They are private.
They were grounded. They were grounded.
And just to finish, I totally agree with Yubi. We talked about it. The moment there was a change, and I told you, I said, if Abramovich was the owner of Chelsea, the chances that Tuchel will get fired this coming season is very high.
Yeah.
Because, look, I don't understand, and the cliche, you can't win a race by looking backward. So, how do you go into a new season as Chelsea Football Club, and you say you don't want Tottenham and the likes.
It's a new era.
That's why you were confident enough to let Lukaku go on loan to Inter Milan now.
See, one thing.
A striker to replace Lukaku is not a top priority.
See, let me put it like this, Yeah, there are some twerks that's moving funny for Chelsea.
Yes, now.
But I feel like it comes from the top. Because if your Oga at the top tells you, we are a winning side, we win trophies every season, you will not come to a presser and come and tell us, we want to keep according to
I agree.
standard and push.
I agree.
So I think
There's also a possibility that it's just mind games.
no, I don't feel so.
no.
Chelsea has
But I
always
don't
been
think Todd
Chelsea
would
has
have
always
told
been a
him
club
that.
that their
I don't think
coaches
so.
they take their lead from the
Bro,
owner.
you know you
so I
said-
think he pussyfooted because Burnley pussyfooted with him like, oh my babies, hey yeah, I know that
don't
what
think Todd-
happened. Come
I
here,
don't
come
think
here.
Todd
Okay,
would have said that.
no, I'm just saying.
She's very honest. You know you said
I'm
it
just
before.
saying.
You know you said it before. I think that
Because he didn't talk like that.
this
before.
word elite management, the problem is that when you don't win Champions League,
Yeah.
you don't hang all of us.
Everybody just
No.
look say, you
don't hang
don't
on-
get what you want to hold up.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't
yeah.
get what I go take
Which
hold
one
up.
they hold you? Now
I get that.
I want to talk so. I think that Tuchel, in my opinion, hasn't shown me the ruthlessness and the drive of Jose Mourinho,
Exactly.
Pep,
Bam.
Klopp,
Damn.
They don't make them
Conte,
like that
even
again.
Conte, right?
Conte, yes.
See,
Who hasn't won the Champions League?
those are the only
But-
guys.
But right,
they
right,
don't make them like that again.
when I see him, right, I feel like there's a guy there who is willing to
Just be
coast,
there. Just be around.
coast,
Coach,
and
No go front,
every,
no go
every,
back.
every now and then put in a very fantastic purple patch,
Yes.
right? So when you speak about a season and you speak about Tottenham Hotspur, Tottenham, not Man United, you're already your mindset, and we talk about all the time. We talk all the time about setting the temperature of the room. How you can channel the gravitas of players and all that kind of stuff. I find that what he's doing at the moment is also what's said. So also said. When the owners of a football club, right, are directly or indirectly redefining what success might
get
be.
it. So you just stop, no worry, no pressure.
I'm not a purveyor of bad news, but Chelsea fans need to, at this moment, realize that there is a paradigm shift from what
Facts.
Chelsea used to be to what it is potentially going to be, where expectations in the start of the season are no longer
To
about
win everything
winning everything
available.
available.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with United, and I said it at the time when United hired David Moyes, great stuff, fired him, still on the right track.
Great stuff.
Brought in, no, great stuff, fine. No, you have to give people a chance. Brought in Louis van Gaal, top manager. Brought in Jose Mourinho, top manager. Fired him. And the narrative now started around that this team are not as good as these people, so you need to give the players some
Time.
building room. Chelsea never built anything.
Yeah.
God will bless
Chelsea
you.
never ever said
Said,
we are
"We're
in
building."
transition.
God will bless
For the
you.
first time in 15 years, Tuchel himself used the word "we are a team in transition." Chelsea had more than 10 managers in 10 years.
Dude.
And not once did anybody say
Even the
"We're in
transition manager did not say transition.
You knew that as
Doesn't
you're
think
coming
they'll say
in,
transition.
they are going to win. They're going to win.
Even when Mourinho, when he came back the second time, said, their baby, there was the word he used then.
Is that a baby horse?
Say they are
Yeah.
baby horse. Bro.
But they still raced.
But we raced.
They raced with the big boys.
His
And they
second
won-
season,
and
that
they won
first
the
season.
league.
I think that first season, I don't know, I think came
Yeah,
third or fourth.
third.
Yeah,
The
second or
second
third.
season, he don't buy Fabregas. Diego Costa don't come in. All these people don't come in. You can tell these bros know they play. They match it in the midfield. So
the league.
my the big issue for me is back in the day, just to agree what you said. Every player that Chelsea had that didn't perform, that didn't do well, was thrown out of the team ultimately because they couldn't do their primary jobs.
Yep.
The strikers are they say Chelsea has a number
Striker
9
that
problem.
cannot strike.
The strikers
Gerrard.
who weren't scoring goals were the ones that were thrown out. Now we're throwing strikers out because
are doing jobs.
their style of play. Their
It's not
style of play.
fitting into.
I've said it before. The last two strikers Chelsea had thrown away were strikers that were scoring goals
Costa
in
was
goal scoring
scoring.
forms, but their first touch, but their pattern of play did not suit.
Wait.
This nonsense. Now, don't start.
That should tell you something. You see this soft talk when we say most of us they talk like it's not always about winning. It's always about team.
Nonsense.
No wait, see. I don't know about you, man. Not lie you. The reason why I like ball
Chelsea.
now because people they win.
Yes.
People they
Chelsea
tear
and
heads,
the last-
they win. That's why I was a Chelsea fan and I'm a Chelsea fan. If they're not trying, I go enter Stamford Bridge. I go carry a Rimo corner. I go flog people.
There are two clubs in
Let
the world.
nobody's- let
Two
nobody
clubs
spoil
in
it
the
for me.
world that are based that are built
win.
on just winning.
Yeah.
Real Madrid.
Chelsea.
And Chelsea.
Real Madrid and Chelsea.
Real Madrid and Chelsea.
Listen, you don't know how this is
See,
a play.
that's why the
Madrid
average
and
Chelsea fan
Since-
is a fan of Real Madrid.
So I am my job here is just to town cry
Say
on
something.
behalf-
What? Hey.
Say, I am saying something
You know why they want
that I'm not used to.
You know when they want do Oru? You say,
Don't come out. Don't come out. I am doing it now. This Tuchel.
Hey.
You get it.
This Tuchel is playing.
And this- look.
and that's why a guy like Ole could have survived at United for 3 years.
Dude.
Now, I'm looking at
Three,
Tuchel.
like-
4 years.
He will
I
survive
was-
3 months
I
in
was-
Chelsea.
I was watching a movie yesterday.
Normal level.
Right? I was watching a movie yesterday. Something on ice, right? And these guys were on ice for
Against
more
the ice.
against the ice, right? We're on ice for more than 2 years, close to 3 years, 800 something days. Ole was allowed at United for 3 years. Do you know what it means to be comfortable with
With a
not
mediocre
challenge-
guy?
mediocrity for 3 years? Tuchel, I like the guy.
You get, but
Right.
there's that ruthlessness.
But there's
bro.
that thing I sense
There
that
are more-
he's only ruthless to protect himself.
And I talked about it when
saying.
when Roman was the owner. The players in the team or the players coming in, they didn't need to speak with the manager at the
Do
time
you
to
get-
know that
Yeah.
this club where they go now.
They understand the assignment.
They know how the owner they operate.
Yeah.
They didn't need to speak to the coach to
they've
know
already
that
known-
the only
Is it not
reason
just that
I
sold
think-
Iron Robin?
Exactly.
2 seconds.
I'm going. See, when they were going to hire Tuchel, I said it multiple times. Unfortunately, like you said, like he came in and he won the Champions, and everybody said, yeah.
You don't say when you don't win Champions League and you want Crystal Palace, you just remember that was Sofia yesterday.
Yeah.
You can't criticize
You don't win Champions
RGM.
League, oh.
RGM, you don't leave him.
Make Chelsea fans those, yeah.
So now I'm looking at Tuchel and he said, replacing Lukaku is not a priority, and I'm thinking, is this guy mad? Is it what?
See, bros, let him talk his talk. Let Lewandowski come and
So-
collect.
so-
That's
so-
my
so-
own.
so that's it,
because
right?
that's just my thing. That's just my thing.
So that's that. I'm fine with the show being a heavy Chelsea episode. I don't think we've done a heavy episode for a while. We have about 23 days to the Premier League starting, so maybe that gives us about 3 weeks to touch on all the teams as far as what the season expectation feels like, right? I really want to talk about Tottenham.
I
I,
feel like
think they
they're
have
the worst.
one
They're the
one
worst.
last big deal to do.
Yeah.
Right? Conte is cooking something really solid. right?
I feel like it's the
I'm
one
very
to watch out
unpopular,
for.
but I think they will challenge for the title.
I feel
Yeah.
they
People
should.
don't agree with me. People think it is crazy,
Dude.
because of where City and Liverpool are. But I think they will challenge.
We don't
Yeah,
care. City
yeah,
and Liverpool,
yeah,
they are overplayed
yeah.
and they've seen everything they have to offer.
Yeah.
I don't
Not
quite
Tottenham.
agree.
And
Tottenham challenging for the title.
this is
I don't quite agree.
this is the part where
Go
you know
shock.
if
I'm
you're
serious.
this is
Go
the part
shock
where if you're a parachute guy, this is where hands off the wheels, and anybody wants to add anything to what we've done today. I think I've done my job to steer the team.
I don't quite agree with Tottenham being like a strong challenge to the
I didn't
title.
say they were a strong challenger. I said they will challenge.
Oh, they'll challenge. I still
Obviously,
don't see
start
it
of the
yet.
season.
No, agree
Dude,
now.
You know
Obviously,
why?
start of the
You know why I
season.
don't see it.
Why?
They don't have that back line. They'll still concede. I'm serious. I am serious.
So here's the thing.
They don't have- it's not solid.
No, so here's the thing.
It's not Tottenham. When you come
it's
at
a, it's a
them,
valid point.
it's
Right?
Emulsifying.
When United played Tottenham last season, United was on the brink of, how will I put it, dismay. Like they weren't good.
Yeah.
They weren't. And they still went, and Ronaldo was doing hat-trick.
Swimpy.
Again,
You can use that game as the yeah.
Swimpy.
Lenglet is poor, man.
Long
Swimpy.
day.
Lenglet, yes.
Hey,
Swimpy, you make a good
Yakato.
point.
He's not a solid defender.
It's not like it's not like it's a bad point. Yeah, right. But the truth is, remember when Conte came to Chelsea? David Luiz played his best career as a footballer, as a defender
Under
Conte.
Conte.
The reason is because there's a way this man see
It will galvanize you.
when he won that league.
I don't agree with that. I think
No,
it was-
no, no.
I think the season Chelsea won the Champions League was Silva's best, was Luis's best.
I
season.
said
No,
as
no,
a
no, 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 no.
defender.
Defender.
The season Chelsea won
He
the
was more
Champions League.
attacking This guy,
David
Arjen,
Luiz
yeah.
even played in that same Champions League season. Played some of his games as a midfielder, as a
front.
number 4. I said as a central defender, played his best years at Chelsea under Conte. See, when Conte comes in at that title winning side with Chelsea, they call them the Conte cyborgs.
Yeah.
That was what they called them because he played with 13, 14 players for the entirety of the Premier League season. Bar any long-term injury to his key players, he has Kane, Son. They will give him more. They will give him close to 50 goals. Those
Yep.
two people.
Yeah, Richarlison.
Now he's added Richarlison.
And there's
he's added
Kulusevski.
Yeah,
He's added
Kulusevski. That one has
was
already scored
fantastic.
already.
Now he's added Perisic, and then in
For
midfield
long-range
there's now
shots.
Yves Bissouma and Højbjerg in midfield. And the way Conte sets up his midfielder, that's where the defense starts from.
Yep.
So why I said it will challenge is those small teams, they go beat them. And Conte would hardly lose to those big teams.
Not by big margin.
So,
anyway.
the problem with Conte is not even about the big teams, it's the small teams.
Yeah.
If they can crack it with the small teams, they're good.
You get, if they can crack it with the small teams.
Because against the big teams,
they will get
play well.
4 points over 2 legs here.
Easily.
3 points over 2 legs here. Sometimes they might even get 6 points over 2 against the big teams because
They're
you
fine.
go fight the boss, hit counter.
The football when I don't see now.
So if they crack the small teams, don't rule them out. See, he will drill his team.
Is that drill I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Any person that has a plan to win anything this season, doesn't even matter whether it's the English Premier League or whatnot. You don't have to have like 12 or 11 fantastic players. All you need are like six quality players.
And
the others,
4, 5 hard workers.
Make the others be pawns. Make they just stand and say, guy, stand
Better
here.
hard workers.
When you see this person, quack him, do
Yeah.
positional marking, run him, and have a correct drill master. When we say in-game management,
Yes.
amazing. That is what Conte is. None of the coaches, forget say we know Klopp, we know Pep. When it comes to the ones that is a shark, none is as a shark as Conte, and that's not
Yes,
because
sir.
he has been in the Premier League. We saw what he did with Inter Milan. He went to a place when our old boys category and he hit them up. That's the only person that's done that in my own experience is Mourinho. And with less baggage. So I feel like if you were putting money here, put it. You know what? If Conte go teach class, may they carry your center so that maybe we'll go coach our Super Falcons.
DJ YK Mule.
Thank you. Let's kill it.
I think we have all we need. Swart, it's been a really good performance.
A pleasure. It's a performance.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You don't pay me my
Debut.
artist sign.
No,
Debut.
I tell you what, you have
Had a long range effort.
You have
Beat the goalkeeper.
you have the. I tell people a lot that the thing with doing the podcast here with us is that as experienced as you could be, and you have all the experience, a lot of experience anyways, because you still have a lot of way to go.
Yep.
Is that the podcast is run absolutely differently, and even some of the best people can feel out of place, not because they didn't know what they're talking about and things like that. But I think you had a nice, you put us on something that's really great, right? Trust you see it in the coming days and whatnot. But all the best with the Allcon. And keep doing the things you're doing with the female
Trailblazer.
with the female thing, yeah.
Just
soaring
15 seconds. This guy, I'd never met him before.
Okay.
And then on Twitter,
Story time.
I saw his products, one of the stuff he did, and I commented on it. And I followed him. And 2 seconds, this guy follows me back and be like, yo, what's up? Do you talk sports? Blah, 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 blah. And 2 seconds, it was like, okay, can you pass through so and so day? And I passed through thinking I was coming to do an audition for a gig. And instead, it was the first episode that we worked together.
That was a real gig, yeah.
And there are very few people that I'll be like, this is how we work. But for him, I don't have to see him every time. He
Yeah.
always puts me up on stuff.
So
I don't have to see him every time. So you can see what I was rooting. I was rooting for hindsight because I'm like, this is the guys.
David
You
of
guys.
Hindsight Podcast.
Come on.
Audio.
You better believe.
Badass.
Come on.
No, man, you deserve your flowers. I would say outside in the corner.
I think
When
here.
Lati give us money,
I think
They don't enough produce Parisi.
I honestly think that we need to create a flower box on this.
You know what?
Drop the flowers.
Let's give her a flower.
Give
flowers.
You know,
Now that we're
shout out
here,
to
right?
Street Champs.
But speaking of which, hello for Kabale.
Well done.
Hello,
Boko.
Boko Vale.
And that's it.
Look,
You
Right
guys are
there.
wrong.
Look, thanks guys for being a part of it today. We are steadily counting down to the start of the Premier League season. That's amazing. Look, we'll try doing as much as we can. We'll mix up the set next week again. Hopefully you come see us more often. That would be great if you could give us your time. And look, we're here for the entirety of it, and we're working on some great stuff. Always a pleasure to have all of you here. We're trying to get to those 2K subscribers on YouTube. So how about you make that happen? Because look, that's what it's about, no? We'll see you next week. Enjoy the podcast.
Always a pleasure to have you on the Hindsight Podcast. Subscribe, like, comment. We'd just like to have your thoughts shared on the Hindsight Podcast. It's great fun for us recording this one, and we also love to hear from you as well. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your messages, your comments. See you again in the next episode.
Cloud. Reach out.